Well, good afternoon, YTPC. This is Dave coming to you from Denver, Colorado. It's 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, the 20th of January, and I've had a great day. I got to sleep like a normal person today. Didn't get up till 7, and then my boy and I got to spend the day kind of doing what he needs to do. He's just moved into his new place. God, we moved him in a couple weeks before Christmas. But then he flew out and spent a month with us, and then he came here for a couple of days, and then he went and saw his friends in San Francisco, and just got back a day or two before I got here. So we're still moving him in, and whenever you move a kid into the new house, you got holes. So we're doing things like coffee table, good grocery shopping run, just picking up the general stuff to get him ready. So when I drive away on Monday, he doesn't have too many holes left, and he can focus on settling in here and getting Ranger settled in here and getting his job done from here. So it's been a good day. So one thing I'll tell you is, if you're in a mobile lounge actually mobilizing, it is way easier to have a cigar than it is to smoke your pipe. Now, I'm not mobilizing, I'm clearly sitting in my son's backyard, but I'm going back to the cigars. You can see the hydrometer is running almost 70%, which is pretty good, because in Denver, it's probably running 20% out here out here. So this is holding up pretty good. So what am I going to do today? Let's get this out for you. So go with another cigar. We're going to go with the Charter Oak. Now these are pretty light duty. I would call these a light smoke, light taste. So you know what? Hang on a second. I'm going to show you actually how I do this. So here's my cutter. Put it on the ground. Just set it down. Put that right there. And look at that. There's the cap. Yeah, I'll get you back up here. I found no better way, if you're a straight cutter, flat cutter, to get a perfect nip without taking the cap off. Now, if you're a V cutter, clearly this doesn't work for you. And if you're a hole punch cutter, that doesn't work either. But anyway, I just wanted to show it to you because it worked well. I love doing it that way. So right now I'm back with my Mike Cigar single lighter. Out here, it's going to take some effort to get this thing lit. So it's about 45 degrees. Not real windy though. It'd do me good to do it down there. All right, we're starting. Can't see the flame. Try not to scorch it. It's a fine line between getting it toasted and lit and scorching it. So far, I'm pretty happy with that. You can hear Ranger. You can see him run around behind me, trying to get him used to his new yard. So he can go in the front yard, which is up back around the side of the house, or he can come in the backyard here. So we're just trying to get him play out here, help him make it his. So the trip, guys, has been good. If you know you're getting into it, you know it's going to be 12-hour days, 2 12-hour days in a row to get from DC to Denver. And that's with some, big diversions like we talked about. I'm way more awake than I was last night. But even with diverting from I-70 to I-80, which is quite a ways, because to go from Kansas City, to go from St. Louis, Missouri to Denver, Colorado is a straight shot on I-70. So to get diverted up to 80, and over and then back down, adds at least an hour, hour and a half. But to drive across our country in the dead of winter and really only get an hour, hour and a half diversion across 2 days, I can't complain about that. It was interesting reading your comments about, like Dave Central Cal Piper saying that his grandfather came from Kansas and that someday he'd like a reason to get out there and see it. I think that would only work if you're going somewhere else and the pencil line from Central California to wherever you're going goes through somewhere near Kansas. You certainly, in my opinion, don't want to go to Kansas as an end resort. That would be pretty boring. I've spent some time in North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, and Nebraska, Missouri for different jobs, and then eastern Wyoming and eastern Colorado all look alike. And I'm sure there are people who say that's not true, but having driven through them in a car, they look a lot alike. And to go there for any reason other than to visit someone you care dearly for or to see it on the way to something. Like David, if you were thinking about driving to Chicago, and I don't know why you would do that, you could certainly make that work. But I don't see that happening, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it unless you have somebody there that you care a lot about and want to spend time with. And then Jim Short said he used to haul meat, 40 pounds of hanging beef out of Greeley, Colorado, and right through kind of where I was driving yesterday. So that was kind of interesting. I don't think it's changed much since he did it because he said it was bringing memories up. I don't know if he didn't say if they were good or bad memories, by the way, but it did bring up memories for him. Hey guys, and one thing, I felt bad to hear that Lunting Larry had passed away. I've been around the YTPC now just about 1 year. I never heard of the guy. I mean, it was so weird to have him, such a fundamental member of the group, who had really stopped posting, I guess, just a month or two before I even started watching YTPC videos. That was my kid. He brought me an espresso. So we bought an espresso machine for the house, and he said he wanted to learn how to use it. So I said, well, make me a double espresso. And he did, and he just brought it over. That's a good boy, isn't it? Anyway, back to Lunting Larry. And then, the way Ethan briefed it was we have a broken pipe. And I felt like while we were watching the movie Broken Arrow, I wasn't sure if I was more concerned that somebody had died or that happens enough in our group that we actually there's a term for it. That's crazy. It's a great term, by the way. I mean, that's a horrible situation, but it's a really good way to say someone's died out of our community. We have a broken pipe. Wow, I learned a lot watching those videos today. Pretty good. Not bad for first Doppio. So besides my boys Doppio, I've been drinking a double shot energy drink, mocha flavored. I don't drink these very often, but it's pretty tasty. Helps me dig out of the energy hole from the last 2 days. My boy and I got hot pot dinner scheduled for tonight. We're gonna go, and I guess you have individual boiling pots. You choose your stuff and you cook it yourself. Never done it, but he loves it. I'd love to try it, and I always try to do something new with him. Every time I come out or every time we're together, I try to have him show me something new, because it's easy for me to get stuck in my ruts. Same steakhouses, same spaghetti joints, the old red sauce joints as they used to call them. So it's fun to have him show me the coolest sushi house. That's tomorrow night in Denver, and the best hot pot house tonight. And last night was the best pizza in Denver, Bojo's Pizza. The original's up in Idaho Springs, up in the pass on I-70, and pretty much everybody who goes skiing knows Bojo's. But they built one right down here. It's only about 10 minutes from his house. So we had Bojo's Pizza last night. Rangers digging this place. All right, we're about 15 minutes in. The cigar is burning great. It's pretty consistent light given that we're outdoors. The stockade fence in the house here kind of keeps the breeze off of us. Hey, one thing I want to say is pre-recording your videos and pre-uploading them all the way to essentially publication and publish it as a private, and then the only thing you have to do is flick the private switch. You just edit your video and flick it from private to public, and it instantly publishes. Worked great. I was in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, in the middle of a blizzard, diverted off the freeway, and I could still had enough signal, because it really just takes a little bit of cell signal for you to get on YouTube and do that, because you're not really recording or editing or anything. So just if anybody needs a tip on how to pre-record and get it completely ready, so if you're going to be in a tough situation, either time-wise or location-wise, pre-record, pre-upload, pre-edit, do everything, and load it as private. Flick the switch to public when you're ready. It worked really good. That is how I did that shotgun one on Friday. Guys, I'm doing a terrible job of keeping up with your comments right now. 48 hours of road time just doesn't allow for a lot of typing. I can watch your videos. I'm keeping up pretty good on watching your videos, but I'm not commenting on them, and I'm basically thumbs up and hearting your comments. So that's pretty much the way it's going to be till Monday night. Because I'm here, I got dinner with the boy tonight, and then we got tomorrow, all day we got things we got to do to help him out. We got dinner tomorrow night, and then Monday I'm back on the road, and I'm on the road from about 9 to 3, 9 to 4, 9 to 5, depending on how it goes. This is going to be the worst part of the trip weather-wise. I'm driving through about 4 of the 8 hours is in the interior of Wyoming. There's only 2 ways to get from Denver to Jackson Hole, and really both go through the interior. One puts some more time on I-80 and less time in the interior, but it adds a couple hours. So unless I get a road closure, I'm going to head up my normal way. But that means I'm not going to be too interactive with you until I can get there and get settled down Monday night. All right, guys, let's talk about one thing, just because we're kind of on vacation and I'm not being too interactive, because we take the whole week off. So a couple of you asked me in a couple different ways to talk about the same subject. And it's intergenerational differences. And the other one was all this boomer talk. So I was born in 1964, which I think makes me officially just about the last boomer. Sometime in 1964, it crosses over and you become Generation Y, I guess. I thought it was a perfect subject to try to take on while I'm spending all this time with my boy. I've had more time with Sean, who's 22, in the year 2023 than I have in the previous 4 years, and I'm sitting there spending spent all evening from 3:30 yesterday on, and all day today and tonight and all day tomorrow and tomorrow night. So I just thought it'd be a good topic. He has said things like this to me before. And so when we hear things like dog break, and so when we say things or when we hear things like those damn boomers, or I don't know if anybody says that about the Gen Yers, but there seems to be a feeling out there that the boomers kind of sucked the world dry and there's nothing left for anybody. So I have two reactions to this dog break. One is, that can't possibly be true. I mean, Gen Yers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Zers. What's next? I don't even know. Dog break. So for some extent, I just refute it. The other one is, why the hell respond? And that's kind of the point I want to go to today. And we can talk more and more about intergenerational differences. That's a great topic. It's super easy. I don't need to do any research on it. I'm living it. Nope. Dog break. But my main thing here, guys, is stop responding to it. I don't care what generation you are watching this video. I don't care. The worst thing we can do is perpetuate it or become part of it. Sometimes us boomers start it. You kids, we talked about that in the last video a little bit. You kids don't know what work is. You kids don't know what sacrifice is. When I watched TV when I was a kid, there were 3 channels and I was the remote. I had to go. We could play that bullshit game all day long ourselves, and I think we do. We say we don't. You younger generations don't know what allegiance is. You don't know what loyalty is. And guess what they fire back with? Well, the companies suck too, and they have a good point. And so, we have to listen to the points and not just argue these kind of bullshit headlines that the world would love us to argue about. They love the generations to tear each other apart, right? It's another watch this hand, not what I'm doing over here scenario. And some of you are falling into it, and some of you are getting worried by it. And those outside the YTPC are completely buried in this debate. There's no debate. I mean, there was the silent generation, the greatest generation, the boomer generation. There's been generations for generations. And just stop the debate. It's easy for younger people to blame older people, right? Oh, Medicaid's all screwed up because of the old people. Medicare screwed up because of all the old people. Social Security screwed up because of all the old people. It's not true, but so what? What good is it to fire back? It makes us feel better. And that's what I would warn against, is saying things just to make ourselves feel better. And that goes back to when we need things to change, why I'm always the one that has to change, right? We talked about that a few videos ago too. And the fact is, you do have to change. If you want to change the debate, you have to change your side of the debate. You have to listen to things and then discuss it back. Like, hey, why do you think that? What's happening? Like my son says, our generation is tired of ruining golf courses. We're getting tired of blaming that we ruined movie theaters. We're getting tired of being blamed for ruining shopping malls. We're getting tired of being blamed for ruining bars and restaurants, And there's some validity in that, right? The younger generations don't golf like the boomer generation did. It's a fact. It's not good or bad. I don't think there's anything to be judged there. It's a fact. Most of the younger generation does not like going to restaurants. Neither of my kids, 21 and 22 years old, enjoys going to restaurants unless I'm dragging them there. They prefer DoorDash or whatever any of those delivery services are. They eat with their friends, gather with their friends, and have the food delivered and eat like we would in a restaurant at home. Yeah, the food's cold and I hate it myself, but there's nothing to be judged there. It's a fact. And the other side is just as valid, right? We did grow up in a time when companies treated people better. Not everybody and not every company, but by and large, through the 60s, 70s, and really into the 80s, you could work for somebody for 30 or 40 years and walk away with a life providing pension. That is not the case today anymore. In fact, I'm not sure there's a major company, if you got hired today, would offer you a pension. It's all 401k. So it's contribution based now and not results based. I think some of the anger in the older folks, by the way, is they believed in something that failed them. And for like a couple of my neighbors, they were in the electrics, IBU, International Brother of Electrical Workers, for 40 years. And then when they retired, the pay stipend they ended up getting from the union, they can barely live on now. And they are bitter. I got 2 neighbors in that boat. So some of us are pre-angry and want to pick that fight or have that fight. So be careful. Try not to do that. All right, guys. So both my cigar timer and my timer is telling me it's time to get this wrapped up. I want to, where should the generations be discussing? Where can we come together and talk about things? It's not easy, okay? So the fact is, 30, 40 years ago, if you had a well-paying job, you could probably be a single income provider, man or woman. I don't even want to go down that road right now, okay? But you could be a single income provider, buy a home, make the house payment, buy a car, make the car payment, and send a kid to college. You can't do that today. Is that the boomers' fault? Is that the Gen Y's fault? Is that the millennials' fault? No, it's not. What is causing that? And that's what causes this so much anger. The younger generations, and by younger, I mean maybe even as old as 40 years old now. I've seen a lot of anger videos out there. And so, what can we talk about instead of just getting pissed off at each other? And so, guys, what is causing what is happening into the economy today? We're a consumer-based economy now. We're not a producer-based economy, right? We have been shipping jobs offshore because it is cheaper to do so, and we keep buying the products that result from that, right? We don't turn things over and go, I'm only buying things made in the USA. We don't do that. I don't care what you say. You go to Walmart, you buy from Amazon, you're buying usually the cheapest made product. Price drives our consumer decisions, period. Now, if like 2 of you are starting to type in, well, I only buy American only, great. But the vast majority doesn't do that. So we are part of the problem. They are part of the problem. They're making the same decisions to consume based on price, not on where it's made or what economy it's supporting. So I think that's something that could be discussed. The other one is, if you look at inflation versus the value of the US dollar, they are intersecting. If you look at the dollar as we know it was created in 1913, when they passed the law creating the US Federal Reserve, which is not a US based, that is a private bank and has no reserves. It was a great name. Talk about being able to market back in 1913. That dollar is now worth about 2.5 cents today. And if you look at what happened in 1971, when we came off the gold standard, I believe it was 1971, it was Nixon, closed the gold window and said all the banks no longer have to have gold backing their loans, essentially. And they have slowly been reducing, and we are now basically at what we call a zero reserve banking system. So a bank can loan out as much money as it wants and not have its reserves. And then the U.S. government and the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is a private bank, are in bed together and choose to print trillions and trillions of dollars and pour it into our economy, which blasts inflation, okay? And so these are the things we can try to talk about. These are factual points. These are the things that they don't want this hand. They don't want you, whoever you are, by the way, no matter what generation is listening to this, they don't want you talking about the value of the dollar and the printing of money and the government-induced inflation rate. Um, they want you pissed off at the other generations. So if we could talk about things, educate, be careful how you do that, right? But if we could talk about how inflation and the Federal Reserve and printing of money has caused kind of the situation we find ourselves in, where you can make $100,000 and you may not be able to support a family. As insane as that is, trying to buy a house on a $100,000 salary is pretty tough right now. And then that consumes enough of your income after tax that it's hard to buy a car or hard to save. So it is very hard, but it's not the boomers' fault. It's not the millennials' fault. And as long as we continue going down those arguments, they win. The elites win. The government wins. The Federal Reserve wins. So let's try not to do that. Guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm probably at like 25 minutes, and I'm not going to do another 40-minute video today. I hope this helps. As always, punch back, talk back. What are the facts that bust up my story? What are you hearing when you try to have these conversations? I love this stuff, guys. I love it. Hopefully, I'll talk to you again tomorrow on Sunday. Bye, you guys.